This is an Xtra 106.3 podcast. To hear more live and local content like this, tune into 106.3 FM or download the Xtra 106.3 app.
Joined on the Morning Extra, Tug and Los until 10 by Congressman Rich McCormick, representing Georgia's 7th District. How are you, sir?
I'm great. How are you?
Well, we need to start. We're going to get into the stuff that matters, but I want you to know that we met Ron Goodbub last night, and he and I have been texting back and forth forever, and he and Los and I all met for the first time.
That man can entertain a room.
He is something else.
So he's 77 years old, wins his age group in running competitions all the time. He is a bundle of energy, as you've witnessed firsthand. He's one of my most loyal guys. I mean, he would do his job for free. He's the kind of guy you could have bury the body and he'll bring the lime. He's just the kind of guy that
That's great.
He gets it. He's as loyal as the day is long. He's an amazing guy.
Dude, that is so awesome. And I got to tell you, man, everything you said, I could totally see. So it was just an honor to meet him, and the fact that he cares about our veterans so much is so incredible. And, you got yourself a good one, and I'm sure you know that. So
yeah, I'm blessed.
Dr. McCormick, let's talk about the government shutdown. I know there are people that are going to be hurting soon. And we've been, I don't want to say callous, but we've been a little bit like, I'm fine, shut it down. Just until we can figure it out, until the Democrats and maybe some of the Republicans get their head out of their backside, let's just shut it down until we can figure this thing out. Now we're starting to get to that point where the rubber meets the road, and you've called on both of the Democrat senators from the state of Georgia to come to the table and negotiate like y'all have been trying to do the whole time. And I recognize you're in Congress, but in the House, but you're reaching out to even senators from your home state to say, let's do this the right way on the behalf of people in Georgia and America.
Yeah, and let's face it, people are hurting even before this happened. If you look at the increase of premiums, I'm sure you guys, just about everybody in America knows how expensive healthcare is. It's the biggest cost to all Americans. And what we did during COVID, to pretend that we're helping people, we supplemented the Affordable Care Act. And we made sure that it was more affordable by increasing federal's portion of this payment. But it was never meant to be permanent. The states knew that when they took on the Affordable Care Act and expanded Medicaid essentially to more people, and they said, well, the carrot was that the federal government's going to help you, and then eventually we're going to back off, and then you're responsible for it. Well, this is the problem with a lot of people who take money from the federal government. They're like, yeah, that's never going to go away. And unfortunately, that's the truth, and that's why we're in the predicament we are with our debt. Because it used to be about 1/3 of all spending from the federal government was from the Fed, and then the other 2/3 from everything else, state tax and everything else like that. So now it's 2/3, and that happened in short order. And since 2004, there's been this parabolic shift in government spending that I don't even know how we're going to pay it off anymore. I mean, it's almost unrealistic to the point we're going to have to bankrupt our country and start over again, and that's on our kids. That's going to affect the rest of us for the rest of our lives. Just meanwhile, let me tell you what this $5 trillion industry is doing, this healthcare industry that we love and we hate at the same time. It's great, by the way. We have great results, but it's way too damn expensive. I mean, if you think about it, the amount we spend on healthcare alone is the third largest GDP in the world. The insurance profits, because they got involved in this, and that's the big problem that we have, because we hired the insurance companies to pay so they can manage all this. Now are dipping their beaks in this. They're making tens of billions of dollars per year of profit. They make about 230% more profit than they did before the Affordable Care Act. Meanwhile, your premiums have gone up about 90% in that same course. Doctors make about 30% less. So where's all that money going? We know where it's going. It's going to profiteers, whether it be pharmaceuticals, PBMs, especially insurance companies, which make up 4 of the top 10 Fortune 500 companies in America right now, 7 of the top 20, I believe. This is a massive problem, and if we keep on kicking the can down the road and saying, oh, the federal government's just going to keep on paying for that, we are literally going to bankrupt the government, and the Democrats have no answer for that. They won't go through a normal budgetary process. And I know that's a lot to digest right now. I threw a bunch of numbers at everybody that's listening right now, but I need people to understand that just throwing money at something, printing more money, is never the answer, and that's what we kept on doing for the last 20 years. It's not going to benefit the United States. It's not going to benefit your kids or the future.
Dr. Rich McCormick is our guest right here on the Morning Extra. He represents the 7th District right here in the state of Georgia. And I want to ask you about this because I still remember 14, 15 years ago, the discussion point, especially on our side, was Obamacare is constructed to fail so that it eventually leads to single-payer healthcare system. And most of us who have ever seen what that looks like around the world would not be in favor of that. But it almost feels like we've reached that precipice of that's not the answer, but we've now created this system where every single one of these companies is feeding on what ends up being, 1/5 of our total economy?
Yeah, and it's not even the funny thing is we have the worst of all situations because not only are we going towards a single-payer system, but we have insurance companies in the middle of that, and they're making a ton of money off of this. It's not even a secret anymore. We had the Transparency Act expose where all the profiteering is going, and that's why people are frustrated with the insurance companies. But they're following the laws that we've made. We created this monster, and they deny about a third of all claims, despite having electronic medical records, coders, scribes, doctors that stay hours after their shifts. Believe me, I know because that's exactly what I was doing. And then sometimes some of the ERs are getting 40% denial rate. That's insane. And so you have to take them to court, and they dare you to do that because they know that a good percentage of you won't even bother because it's not worth it. And as a matter of fact, with Medicaid and Medicare, a lot of times it doesn't even pay the bill to begin with, and then you have to take them to court just to get the leftovers. I mean, it's a built-in failure, and like you guys said, it's already the Affordable Care Act was meant to fail the system, so we go to single payer. The problem is our single payer won't even be an efficient single payer. It'll be the worst of all systems. Not only will it be basically restricting access to health care, but it'll be the most expensive system you've ever seen and the most inefficient to boot.
Our guest is Dr. Rich McCormick on the Morning Extra on Xtra 106.3 Tugged Lows until 10. Call me cynical if you'd like.
Cynical.
Yes, because
I do it every morning.
Yes, because sometimes I am, and I don't want to be, Dr. McCormick. I don't want to be. I'm a glass half full in life kind of guy, always glass half full, until it comes to government and the way it operates and the people who are pulling the levers. Is this fixable? Because there's that bit of me that says it's not, because nobody's willing to do the hard work. No one's willing to. I mean, by and large, I know you're trying to. I know there's others that are trying to. But as a whole, our government doesn't seem to be very motivated to fix this.
Yeah, I'm a super motivated, glass half full kind of guy too. And the reason I got into this job and then gave up a much better paying job with a lot more vacation is because I thought I could make a difference. And I still reserve that hope because if we don't fight for it, what do we have? We have only cynicism and defeat to face. And Pluto put it best. He said, the problem with not being in government is that you're bound to be lorded over by your inferiors. And I really think that there's a lot of people who are well-meaning, but there's also a lot of people who don't do their homework and don't understand what's at stake. And they think because most people haven't been in government for over 20 years, at least as congressmen, they don't realize that just printing money doesn't work because this is something fairly new, actually. 2004 is when this all kind of started, when we expanded Medicare dramatically under George Bush, by the way. This is a bipartisan problem. Sure. And we kind of got ourselves in a point where healthcare now is a third of our entire spending. And that's burdening us, and then about another third is from Social Security, by the way. So already 2/3 is spoken for, and we don't have a way out. We do have a way to get out of the Medicaid problem, the Affordable Care Act. First of all, it was supposed to be handed back over to the states. It is a state-run program. States have to be accountable. They can't just print money. They don't have their own currency. We need to hand this back over to the states like it was always intended to be, and then the states get to decide who's going to get this and how they're going to qualify for it. It's going to get rid of a lot of the waste, fraud, and abuse that we have right now, because nobody cares if there's waste, fraud, and abuse if you can print money. But if you're a state and you're like, well, I can't afford that, then actually you have to make some hard decisions about how they qualify and who qualifies for it and what the premiums are. That's really good decision-making at a lower level. The bigger the government, the less effective and efficient it is. And I always want to say we need smaller government, less. That's why the Marine Corps is better than the Army. Sorry, Ron, and all you guys out there. We have better quality control because we're smaller and we're more nimble, and we have to live on a smaller budget. That's kind of how a state compares to the national spending, and that's what we need to get back to, is 1/3 of the spending should be at the federal level, not 2/3, where there's great waste, fraud, and abuse and irresponsibility and just this idea that we can just print more money and it's going to be okay. That's not going to work into the future.
Dr. Rich McCormick is our guest. He represents Georgia's 7th District. That includes myself and Tug, and so we're always grilling the man as far as how things are going on. I want to ask you about the shutdown, because every single poll that we've had access to, and then speaking to people even in the room we were in last night at a political event, it feels as if the messaging coming from the Republicans is really resonating. And I think part of that is the distrust of the media, that this is largely being done so that the states that are spending the crazy amount of health care on illegals get reinforced with taxpayer dollars. And I believe that when the media is frustrated right now saying, why aren't people blaming Republicans like they have in the past, that doesn't seem to be happening. Are you feeling that as well?
I am, and what's funny, there's a lot of denial in this. I was on CNN the other day, and they were trying to reverse the polls. And I'm sure polls are kind of like statistics. There's lies, there's damn lies, and there's statistics, as Mark Twain once said. And you can kind of spin it however you want based on how you ask a question. As a matter of fact, I remember when CNN was panicking on a show, I try to watch everybody, trying to get an idea of what people are thinking. And they're worried about the polling. And then somebody came on and said, oh, no, it's the way we're phrasing the question is to benefiting the Republicans. But if you phrase it this way, and that's the problem, is in that echo chamber, Schumer has backed himself into a corner. And he believes that he's on the right side of history, that we're evil people. And this is why they call us Nazis, and that's why people get assassinated like Charlie Kirk. It's because they demonize us. They make us the bad guys, and they're not having a heart-to-heart with themselves. They're not understanding the realities that we face, that they don't have answers. Their only answer, and I'll ask them straight up in a debate. I'll ask them face-to-face. I'm like, well, where do you think you're going to save the money? Where are we going to get back in balance? They're like, well, we're going to get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse. Okay, but every time I bring up anything wasteful, fraud, or abusive, you guys say, no, we can't do that. So it's the self-licking ice cream cone that I hate, which is they just keep on printing money and saying we're going to buy more votes, and we have no ends to justify the means. And I'm really fearful that America will buy into that because it's much easier to say I'm going to give you something free than it is to explain for 5 minutes why it's not free and why it's not going to be beneficial to you.
But don't you think, Dr. McCormick, that most Americans realize that nothing is free? Now, if with illegal immigrants that are coming across the border or were at the time during the Biden administration, you could probably convince them because America's the land of milk and honey, and of course, it's going to, when I get there, it's going to be free and it's going to be taken care of. But actual Americans, and I mean that is people that have come here legally and come here the right way and are trying to do the best they can to earn a living, raise a family, be a part of the fabric of this country. Don't you think that they see through that? Because it does look like Harry Enton, you're speaking of CNN, we played a clip from him this morning where he was talking about Donald Trump campaigning on the things he did and then now are delivering it. And the polls are showing that he is appreciated more because of that. And I'm tying those together because I think most Americans realize that nothing is free. And you're seeing minority communities. Newsweek had an article saying that there's a surge in black voters for President Trump because they are seeing through that mirage of everything's free. We can just print it. It'll always be there and available for us. People aren't buying that. They know better. You can't do it. I can't do it. Nobody can do it. It's not real.
And I think when you nailed a bunch of things, and I think the Hispanics who are here see the Hispanics coming over the border as trying to take their jobs. And so they understand that. But what happens is, and this is the fickleness of our public. Remember, George Bush was one of the most popular presidents ever during the war, and as soon as the war had trickled down, he became one of the most unpopular presidents. It can happen overnight. And what happens is once you shut off the border, you did the right thing, and the Latinos are all happy that they're not getting competition, and they believe in the conservative values we do, and they understand all the things you just said. But then when they see friends of theirs who are deported, who have been here for 30 years, who are maybe owners of businesses, or people who were here on a visa who didn't get renewed because of politics or what they perceive as politics, and they get deported. And you could be here from India, Africa, Korea, South America, whatever, being a upstanding person, and all of a sudden you're gone. You're going to see some of that Latino vote change in this next election. I guarantee you. I'm keeping my finger on the pulse. We do have a shift in male African Americans towards Trump, and I think that'll continue. I think the black population, and by the way, Georgia has the second largest population by percentage, only to Mississippi, and second largest in population, only to Texas. And I think it's about 31.3% approximately of the population. So it is important to have this debate. And as you guys know, I'm a Morehouse guy, right? So I taught at Morehouse and Spelman and Clark Atlanta and Morris Brown before I went to Funk. I was student vice president at Morehouse School of Medicine. So the black population is extremely important to the future of Georgia, and explaining what's going to benefit that population is going to be the big debate of the future. But there is a lot at stake here that can turn on a dime when the economy, let's say we start seeing inflation and people are hurting, and maybe some AI jobs are being replaced because of the expansion of this new super technology. There's going to be people hurting, and that can change in a heartbeat. So we have to be careful that we control the message very, very succinctly, that people understand what's at stake and how to best approach this.
Dr. Rich McCormick, representative of Georgia's 7th District on the Morning Extra. Dr. McCormick, thank you for your time. We always enjoy when you're on and allowing us to ask the questions that we really want the answer to.
And we look forward to interviewing you in person on June 14th, 2026, hopefully the South Lawn of the White House before the big UFC event. We're just keeping that in mind, sliding that in once again.
We're working.
We have a date, though, now, finally, so that's
right.
very cool.
That's going to be fun, though.
I love it. The biggest sports event of all time. I think it is going to be the most epic. I mean, if I don't get invited, they're going to put me in a closed room with a pad. This is going to be amazing, and I appreciate you guys. You guys are truly insightful and curious at the same time, and I really appreciate what you guys do for the community. I really do mean that.
Thank
you, Dr. McCormick. We appreciate it. Have a great day, man. Thank you.
This is an Xtra 106.3 podcast. To hear more live and local content like this, tune into 106.3 FM or download the Xtra 106.3 app.